I'm going to touch on the major political issues facing our country and the economic issues as well. Let me begin by reading something to you. Some of you may be familiar with the fact that there's a family called the Koch brothers. People have heard of the Koch brothers? Yeah. The Koch brothers are worth about $80 billion. And they are now spending hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to elect candidates all over this country who will make the wealthiest people in America even wealthier. Now, how much money they're spending, we really don't know, because a lot of it is kind of under the table, undisclosed. But it is unbelievable sums of money. And occasionally the media will write that. They'll say, well, these guys are spending a whole lot of money. They're conservatives and they're spending money. But there has been almost no discussion at all about who they are and what they believe in and why they are spending this money. So I want to spend a few minutes telling you about who they are and why they are spending hundreds of millions of dollars to elect their candidates. In 1980, one of the brothers, a fellow named David Koch, ran for vice president of the United States on a party called the Libertarian Party. They didn't do very well. He funded the party. But I want you to know the ideas, the platform that he ran on, and I'm going to quote from that platform word for word. I'm not going to elaborate, I'm not going to exaggerate, I'm going to read what that platform, some of what that platform was. Quote, everything I'm saying is a quote. We favor the abolition of Medicare and Medicaid programs. What that means is not cutting Medicare and Medicaid. That means not expanding Medicare or Medicaid. It means eliminating Medicare and Medicaid. Quote, we favor the repeal of the fraudulent, virtually bankrupt, and increasingly oppressive Social Security system. Pending that repeal, participation in Social Security should be made voluntary. In other words, they want to end Social Security. Now, this was a document written in 1980, but there is nothing, and I've studied this a bit, nothing that I have seen to suggest that their views have changed at all. Quote, now right now, you know, in Washington, some of us are fighting hard to raise the minimum wage nationally, which is $7.25 an hour. We don't want workers like Sherry and millions of other people to be forced to work at starvation wages. This is what the Koch brothers say about the minimum wage. Quote, we support repeal of all law which impede the ability of any person to find employment, such as minimum wage laws. Do you understand what that means? That means they want to abolish the concept of the minimum wage. So that if workers in South Carolina in a high unemployment area, they are in a high unemployment area, their employers can hire them at less than $7.25, maybe for $5, maybe at $4. That's what happens if you eliminate a minimum wage. Quote, we support the abolition of the Environmental Protection Agency. Quote, now listen to this one and understand the dimensions of what they are talking about. And this is what these guys do believe. Quote, we oppose all government welfare, relief programs, and aid to the poor programs. All these government programs are privacy invading, paternalistic, demeaning, and inefficient. The proper source of help for such persons is the voluntary efforts of private groups and individuals. End of quote. Do you know what all that means? That is Head Start, gone. Pell Grants, gone. Food stamps, gone. Unemployment compensation, gone. Welfare, gone. Any program that is out there that helps low-income or working people is gone. And if you are 70 years of age and struggling with cancer and you have no money, well, maybe, because you're not going to have Medicare, maybe somebody will help you out. Or, more likely, they won't. And if you're poor and Medicaid is gone, well, tough luck to you. Last point is, they also say, we urge the repeal of federal campaign finance laws and the immediate abolition of the despotic Federal Election Commission. What that means is they want all campaign finance laws gone, which means that billionaires can give checks to their candidates directly. You want to run on the Koch brothers ticket, on this ticket, they will give you a check for $30 million, $50 million, $100 million. They will write your speeches because they have all kinds of think tanks out there to do it. And that's it. That's their understanding of democracy. No campaign finance law restrictions at all. That, brothers and sisters, is the struggle we are engaged in Washington, D.C. right now. Now, I know the media very often portrays what's going on in Washington as, oh, these people are all idiots, they have personality defects, why can't they get along, etc., etc. Well, some of that may be true, but most of it is not. The struggle is, do we protect and expand Social Security, or do we eliminate Social Security? The issue is, do we protect and expand Medicare, or do we eliminate Medicare? The question is, do we raise the minimum wage to a living wage, or do we abolish the concept of the minimum wage, so instead of working for $7.25 an hour, people will work for $4 an hour? Now, what we are seeing in this country today is something certainly unprecedented in the modern history of America. And that is the people on top, in this case, a family worth $80 billion. Koch brothers apparently do not believe that $80 billion is enough. They need more. They want to cut taxes for the wealthiest people in this country and eliminate virtually every program that has been passed in the last 80 years which protect ordinary Americans. Their greed has no end. It is almost like an alcoholic who needs another drink. They need more and more and more. And if it means destroying the middle class and the working class of this country, well, that's the way it is. That is the issue. And that is what is taking place in Washington. You're not going to see that on TV. You ain't going to hear it much on the radio. But that is exactly what is going on. There is a class war being waged. And the people on top are doing everything that they can in every way to beat down the middle class and working families of this country. Let me talk a little bit, in fact, about what is going on in this country. Bottom line is that despite a revolution in technology, you all know what this is, and you all know about all of the technology that exists right now out in the workforce. And that is, we have all kinds of machinery which have made workers in this country much more productive than they used to be. They can produce a lot more. Now, if you stop and you think, and I give you a tool, and you are now producing 30% more than you used to, well, one of two things might happen. You might be getting 30% more income, or maybe you'll be working fewer hours. Instead of working 40 hours, maybe you work 30 hours and make the same amount of money. That's what productivity is. But what is going on in this country is very much the opposite. The reality is that most of our people are working longer hours for lower wages. I come from a very rural state. It is not uncommon in the state of Vermont for workers to be working not one job, not two jobs, but 3 jobs in order to earn enough income to take care of their families and maybe to cobble together some health insurance. Here are some facts that you should know. Since 1990, the median income in this country, that means the income of that person right in the middle, half the country is on top, half the country is below. That family has seen a $5,000 decline in income. People working longer hours, their wages are going down. Some of you who are as old as I, although I don't see too many of you who are as old as I, will remember there was once a time, 40, 50 years ago, hard to believe, where one person in a family could work 40 hours a week and earn enough money to pay the bills. You all know about that. Usually in those days it was the man. Now what you got is men working 40, 50 hours, women out there working equally long hours, and despite the combined income, they're still not making enough money to pay the bills. Decline of $5,000 in median family income since 1999. Now, when you see the TV and you see people getting angry out there, problem is many of these guys who are getting angry should be angry. They just don't know what they should be angry about, and they don't know who they should be angry at. They get angry at all the wrong people all the time. But here's why they should be angry. If you are a man worker, today you are making $283 less than you did 44 years ago. Now, how's that for progress? All of the technology after that's in inflation-adjusted money. But think about all of the technology, all of the gains, all of the globalization, all of these great things. And 44 years later, that average American male worker is making $283 less than he did 44 years ago. If you're a woman, that median woman, that woman right in the middle, today earns $1,700 less than she did in 2007. How's that for progress? You're moving, but in the wrong direction. Now, in terms of the economy, I think all of you can remember where we were in 2008 when Bush left office and Obama came in. And where we were, I know it seems like ancient history, but it was just 6 years ago. Where we were is that this country, and in fact the entire world, were on the verge of an international financial collapse. There were people, some of you may remember, who were worried that if somebody went to an ATM machine, you stuck your credit card in, no money would come out because the banks would be out of money. In fact, Bernieq, the former head of the Fed, just very recently said that in his judgment, and he studied the Great Depression of 1929, he said that at that point in 2008, the system was more fragile, more vulnerable than in the Great Depression of 1929. The United States, the entire world, on the verge of a financial collapse. When Obama came into office, we were losing 700,000 jobs a month. 700,000 jobs a month. During the first year of Bush's last year, we ran a deficit of $1.4 trillion. That's where we were. Are we better today than we were 6 years ago? Yeah, you may not know it by watching the TV. In fact, we're much better. All right, we've seen steady job growth, etc. But, and here is the big but. Yeah, we're better, but we're still in very, very bad economic shape. Real unemployment in America is not what the newspapers tell you at 6.2%. If you include people who have given up looking for work and people who are working part-time when they want to work full-time, you know what real unemployment is in America? It's about 12%. Number two, a job is a job, but it's not a job. Most of the new jobs that have been created since the great Wall Street crash are low-wage, part-time jobs. So people are working, but they're working at jobs that do not pay them a living wage. We talk about, I think many of you saw what went on in Ferguson. An unarmed African-American young man was shot.